catch me if you can.
So I've been getting some comments lately. People agreeing with my last two videos and stating to me that their hype has somewhat died down for Mortal Kombat. And I don't want to get it twisted, guys. That was not my intention of the video. I was only dismaying my, I guess, rejuvenation of the hype based on the leaked roster that was coming out. And a lot of these things have been, like, taken out of proportion lately. I know I've been trying to make changes on my channel. There's been stuff that's come out recently that I didn't cover on purpose. You guys all know why. You can see my video for that. It's hard to avoid stuff. I mean, I have, like, Dynasty blocked on YouTube and Twitter, but he still pops up in my feed from time to time, and I still see it in search results when I'm actually looking for news-related stuff to cover about Mortal Kombat. And I just refuse to cover anything that he covers or discovers. Some of the stuff I find out before he even covers it, but I don't want to cover it because it's like, it's not going to help the game any. It's just speculation and little details here and there, like taking one tweet and applying much more credence to it than needs to be levied against it. It's just stuff like that. But I was talking about a few things in my last video that are reinvigorating my hype, and that's what we're going to focus on, guys. We're going to focus on rebuilding at least our hype in this small little community channel that we have here. And I mean, a lot of us want to play the game. A lot of us are pretty excited for playing the game. It's the newest entry in Mortal Kombat. We can say whatever we want about the roster, about choices and decisions that were made, aesthetically, mechanically, technically, any of that stuff. But we should be excited because it's continuing the story of Mortal Kombat. Like, since 9's revitalization, when they went back to the drawing board and kind of redid the story after the events of Armageddon and introduced the timeline stuff, I have really enjoyed the story. It's really character and narrative driven as opposed to just a sequence of events that contain characters, such as it was in more like Mortal Kombat Armageddon, or even to a certain extent Deception, when people like Shujinko or Taven and Dagon are taking over the narrative as opposed to the core cast. So I'm excited about this one. And then there's stuff that came out, like, as you know, like Jade, that had me really excited. She moves really well, so I like her a lot. And there's just a lot of things behind that that have my hype being built up. The thing is I feel like, and you guys can get mad at me for saying this, I feel like we've become kind of spoiled, in a sense, when it comes to the fighting games that we are looking forward to. I'd even go as far as to say a little bit entitled. We've had so many good games, and there are so many good game generations, like especially the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 era. Those were great eras for fighting games. Expect these things out of these games, and we build these, like, canons in our head, and there's no, like, faster way to start a dumpster fire than information falsehood spreading, and there's no better place to do that than on the internet, obviously. You know, in the late 90s and early 2000s, when, like, PlayStation 2 and PS3 were in their heyday, we didn't really have, I mean, PlayStation 3, the internet was pretty prevalent, but in PlayStation 2, we had, like, to rely pretty much on video game magazines and advertisements and stuff like that. Like, the internet was up, but it wasn't, like, widely utilized. I know, because I graduated high school in 2000, and when I was in high school, not many people even had computers in our houses out of the friends. And if we did, we didn't have the internet, or we did, but we weren't, like, allowed to use it because it was, like, dial-up and super expensive. But, I mean, that was, like, the mid-90s. By the time I was out of high school, like, the first cell phones had already started rolling out. There's, like, Nokias and stuff, so we had already like been entering that area, that arena. But that's a different story for a different day. Information spreads like wildfire. It doesn't matter if it's true. It doesn't matter if it's credible. People will take a quote or take an interview and tear it apart and interpret it in any different way they want to classically back up whatever position that they're trying to fight for. This is classic. This happens with almost any topic you can talk about. There's always going to be some kind of apologetics involved where one side is arguing their point and the other side is arguing their point, and it's over the same information, just interpreted in different ways. So it's really helpful in these situations to try and have some kind of critical thinking. And I'm not pushing against you guys that you don't, because most of you guys that watch my channel feel the same way. I feel like when you have people that blow up overnight over something, things that come to mind is like Ninja with like Fortnite, who I admit I haven't really watched. I've heard things about him because I'm not really interested in Fortnite or Battle Royales for that matter. But especially people like Dynasty. You know, you have a guy who started out like similarly with my channel, and this sounds a bit butthurt, but it's true. I covered news before he did, but for some reason someone, I guess, picked up or shared his channel, and he blew up. He got like, I don't know, over a course of a few months, like 10,000 subs. And for me, it's not, I don't care about the sub count. That's not what matters to me. What matters to me is people's perception of a sub count. So when people are searching for information and they're coming across the video, let's say mine saying that I'm not going to cover leaks for Mortal Kombat because of this information. Obviously, there's two things levied against that. The people that are searching for that are looking for information, A, probably think I'm on a high horse, or probably think that, like, I don't have a right to, I don't know, I mean, I don't want to withhold information from people, but like I said, like, I'm going to cover leaks, I am, but, like, only the leaks that come from reliable sources or leaks that are found in ethical ways. I'm not going to cover leaks from, like, employees, like, stealing information and stuff like that. It's just, I'm not going to do it. And, the problem with channels like Dynasty's is, like, when he pulls in views like that, it becomes a black hole. You're inadvertently pulling in more views. And, and to the average person that's looking for information, when you have a video that has 1,000 views next to a video that has, 20,000 views, they're going to think that the one with 20,000 views is more accurate. I've been guilty of this in the past as well. I've tried not to do that as well. I try to give a lot of small content creators my attention these days. And that doesn't make me better than anybody else. It's just like something I'm trying to do to help out the smaller creators. But, I mean, even Dynasty to an extent is a smaller creator. He's not, like, huge. But, it is definitely part of the problem. We saw during the announcement when Ragaroth and I covered it, you have two of the arguably biggest Mortal Kombat YouTubers on there, and they had nothing constructive to say. They had no questions to ask that were relevant. My point is like, we inadvertently elected these people as our representatives for this fighting game community, at least this game, and in doing so, kind of shot ourselves in the foot because we elected people who play to their own self-interests and have no idea what they're talking about. Like that, like Uncaged talking about how he doesn't like Noob Saibot because noob's in his name, even though the term noob was like coined well after Noob Saibot ever entered the fray into the gaming world. Stuff like that. The stuff like that one girl from I don't remember what show she's on. She's on a couple different shows, but like when she was asking dumb questions about like Shao Kahn, like how can you like him being that he's a bad guy, and Dynasty just standing there like an oaf, like I don't know, it's just like we could have gotten something from that. We could have voiced a concern of ours, we could have voiced an opinion of the community, not just the individual. Like, say somebody like, I mean, somebody like Maximilian Dude can't go to all that stuff because he covers fighting games in general, so I don't know, like, what his schedule entails to allow him to do something like that. But say that, Ragaroth Enterprises was to go. If Rich went, I know he'd answer questions about technical aspects of the game. I know he would ask questions about, he's not stupid enough to ask roster questions because he knows they're not going to give that information. But you can definitely ask things that, like, concerns that we would have with, like, the upcoming Kombat casts, or, you know, what features are returning, and are there going to be surprises in store? Kind of open-ended questions like that would at least give us some kind of information to play around with. But these two, I mean 3 for the better part, didn't really do anything. So I know these people bring information, so they're, like, protected within the community now and held in, like, kind of a certain amount of esteem. I don't know how Dynasty kept going after Ed Boon called him out flat out, because that should have been, like, a red flag to everybody right there. Regardless whether he said he loved this channel or not, that's called a pleasantry. Like, nobody's gonna come out and blast somebody off the cuff without having some kind of nicety to back it up to make themselves not look like a tool. But the false information spreading, we know, is a big problem. That's why I'm trying to not speculate as much, and I'm trying to not, you know, bring things to the forefront. And I've seen a huge dip in views. My Mortal Kombat videos, for example, that like have leaks on the title or whatever, they pull in anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 views per video, which for me is big, especially with like 315 subscribers. So my incentive is actually to go that way, but since I've refused to, and I just wanted to give you guys honest information and opinionated pieces, but knowing that they're opinion and trying to not speculate as much, I get probably a couple hundred views on those videos, which I don't care about. It's not a big deal, because I know that those couple hundred people that watched those videos got accurate information. They got my unadulterated opinion. I'm not being paid. I'm not, like, being sponsored, so there's no incentive for me to lie to you guys about stuff like that, which is my incentive to make the channel honest. To be fair, I don't want my channel to blow up based on stuff like that anyway. It's stressful. You can see what happened to Dynasty. Like, when your channel is reliant on news and updates, first of all, after that game comes out, those videos die off. I did Dragon Ball FighterZ news videos for a while, and, like, after the game came out, like, the videos died and only resurfaced when I was talking about the Season 2 leaks that were, like, over a year ago, just now that Season 2 was announced. You know what I mean? So it's like you're playing a waiting game, and it's like playing with fire, as opposed to making actual original content that people are going to enjoy regardless of what year it is. Like for example, you can go back and watch an Angry Video Game Nerd video from like 10 years ago, and it's just as contextual and enjoyable as it would be watching his latest video. You know, stuff that covers, like, timely topics, like news, for example, it's a lot harder to get on board with, unless you have a crew behind you. Someone like Philip DeFranco can pull it off because he's got an entire crew and team. Just Kidding News does a better job of it, because even though they take articles that are a couple days, they only use it as a jumping off point just to, like, have a conversation based around it, and that's usually what pulls in the views. But when you have a channel like mine, or like Dynasty's for that matter, and you start focusing on what's the newest information, what's the newest news, I gotta get it out there, snap, 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 the first thing that happens is you get a dip in quality. The first thing that happens is, instead of having to do the setup and wanting everything to be ready, you're getting news dropped or finding out information at, like, nighttime, and you're popping on a video right then and there, and your video's quality is going to suffer. And I'm not saying video quality is the end-all be-all. Actually, I think it's not, but that's just one of the things that suffers, and some people care about that. Another thing that happens is you become reliant on receiving that information. So you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs until you get some kind of news, and then as soon as you get a piece of news, you jump on it and make a video about it. And if that information turns out to be wrong, you made yourself look like an idiot, and you lose trust with the community, and it shows you up for being what you are exactly. But a lot of people don't fall for that either. A lot of people don't see that. I'm sure there's a bunch of Dynasty apologists who will take that Ed Boon tweet and be mad at Ed Boon, because they think that if at least Dynasty's giving them information, if Ed Boon was giving them information more frequently, then they wouldn't have to go to a source like that. But therein lies the problem. I believe our patience has been stretched thin, and we expect things faster than we want them to. I just can remember back in the early 90s, if I knew a game was coming out, I was excited for the game regardless of what I've heard about. I mean, like when Mortal Kombat Armageddon came out, that came out pretty late in the game, but I didn't even know it had character creation until I picked up the game from GameStop and looked at the back of the box. Same thing goes with like Soul Calibur 3. And those are two of my favorite games in the series. Mortal Kombat Armageddon less so. I'm more of a Deception fan than Armageddon. I love Armageddon because of the creative character and stuff, but I just think Deception's a better game overall. But you guys get what I'm getting at. It's up to us. It's our personal responsibility to filter the news that we take in, because rabbit holeism is also a thing. Especially on YouTube, when an algorithm, it'll ultimately see what you're searching for, and it'll start pushing similar content your way. So I mean that's what happens with like these kind of communities as well. I know like it's not, this video hasn't done a good job of building hype, but I just wanted to say it's up to us. Like each and every one of you can be your own Dynasty, or can beat your own Uncaged, or Mark Yoon for that matter. You guys have the information readily available to you that we do too. Don't get it twisted. It's not like any of us have contacts in the industry in which we can put up stuff. And even if we did have contacts, those people aren't going to be giving us leaked information, because their jobs would be liable. So anything that we get and make a video on is going to be speculation, and is going to be based on stuff that you can find yourself, stuff that are tweeted about on Twitter, or stuff that gets leaked from an Amazon post, or stuff that gets leaked from some kind of IG account from another country, like was the case with Soul Calibur's DLC Pack 3 that came out, that leaked a couple days before it was supposed to be leaked. That kind of stuff I covered, because that's fine. But honestly, like, you guys can do all the searching stuff you want to. It's not like you need any of us to tell you what to do. Ultimately, when you're watching a YouTube channel, you're watching it for the person that's making the content. Whether you identify with that person, or whether you like what they have to say, or feel similarly in certain aspects, or don't in certain aspects. It's everybody's platform, guys. It's not like we go to school to learn how to make YouTube videos. I mean, my first video, if you go back to watch my first video from like almost 2 years ago now, it was garbage. It was like me playing J-Stars, talking about Dragon Ball Super with Frieza coming to the World Tournament, and the audio was terrible. The voice recording was garbage. The video content and quality was garbage. You could barely hear my voice over the music. And I still kept it up because it's a learning experience personally for me. It's like a video journal. But I guess I gotta like try and close this up, because I don't want to like stretch this on. And I guarantee you probably only 2 or 3 people are going to get to this point in the video anyway. I'm looking at you, Matt and Paulsa, and possibly Rich. If you did get to this point, we're gonna have a keyword, and I want you to write Jade's staff. If you write Jade's staff in the comment section, then that means I know you got to this point in the video, and I will obviously acknowledge it in the comment section, and maybe I'll give a platform to one of you guys that actually does that, and I'll have you guys play some Mortal Kombat with me and record a video if you want your opinion to be heard on the situation. I mean, if you guys have a PS4, that's all stuff that I can easily do. So we're gonna bring the video to a close with that. I just wanted to say in a conclusion that we're not entitled to anything. The only thing we're entitled to is the product that they give us for our $65. Whatever that product ends up being is not something that we have any control over. It's not something that we have any right to demand they do anything different. We can give our suggestions, and we can hope that they take them. And there's games that do, and there's games that don't. There's beloved games like the Crackdown series where people hate the newest iteration. And it's not like they haven't been voicing their opinion for the past 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So I just want you guys to keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. As always, be sure to check out my friend Rich. You can find a link to his channel in the description box down below at his channel Ragaroth. And we're just gonna end with that, guys. If there's anything that else you want to bring up, the comment section's always open. My Twitter's always open. And with that being said, stay powered up, guys. Peace.
지금 내가 걸어가는 거린 Blackpink for way 사거리 동서남북 사방으로 running 이는 버킷리스트 싹다 버려 널 당기는 것도 멀리 밀치는 것도 제 멋대로 하는 bad girl 조건 싫어하고 누가 뭐라 하던 with a bass drop it's another banger 두 번 생각해 흔한 남들처럼